All right, we are in the last 2 weeks of the course. I hope you've enjoyed the course up until now. Now we're going to try to put everything together. We still have assignment number 4 that needs to be done, but once that is completed, then we can put everything into the compilation paper. Now there's a few details that are very important, and we'll go over those details. But first, let's talk about our week 4, or our assignment number 4. So I'll do that by sharing the screen. So we'll get right into weeks 7 and 8, which is I'm already in there. Okay, we have our learning outcomes. We have our required reading number 4, which is research, action research and systematic intentional change in teaching practice. Did you notice the word intentional? There's a reason why it's there. When we teach, we want to intentionally teach. We don't want our teaching to be accidental. So the discussion thread number 4, you're going to review that article, and then it says select one of the 4 subject areas. Then answer the following questions. What subject area did you choose? How is it relevant to your topic? Do you think how you learn has a bearing on how you interact with your students? Why do you say that? Please share with us how this idea relates to your own life experiences. And we all do have our life experiences, don't we? All right, so then you know how to post that, and then you're going to respond to 2 others on a minimum basis. Okay, again, remember this is a discussion item, it's not a paper. You do not need an abstract for the discussion thread, but you do need a set of references. All right, getting into assignment 4. Now it says you'll reflect on how to apply your research and identify further studies in this chapter. So there is a template for that, and we'll take a look at that in just a moment. So chapter 4 will have the title, Reflections and Implications for Practice/Inquiry. Okay, so some things that you need to have in that paper. It says discussion using hypothetical data. So in this section, please reflect on how you think your study might have turned out if you had actually conducted it. So your ideas or your answers will be a set of hypothetical data collected in this study. So if you'd like to include a hypothetical data table to support your answers, that's fine. So point number 1, what do you think the data from your research would show? Number 2, do you think that the data would support your hypothesis? Why or why not? Okay, do you think your results would compare to similar studies used in your literature review? Number 4, do you think you could draw any conclusions from the data that you would collect from the data that you're collecting from your hypothetical study? And if so, what would they be? Do you think of, can you think of any key themes for future research that should emerge from this study that you can share with other teachers? So those 5 elements should be in there. Then you have implications for practice and teaching. So please discuss the possible implications of your study as they relate to your own teaching practice. Describe how the effort involved in producing a research proposal has influenced you as a teacher, or if you're a paraprofessional, how that would affect you in becoming a teacher. And of course, this would be in a TK to 12 special education setting. So this is how your research has affected your own thinking. Okay, have any of your ideas changed? Okay, so the 4 items here that you would want to think about. Okay, number one, what will you change or do differently as a result of your research in this course? Number two, what did you learn about yourself as a teacher? Number three, what did you learn about your own professional development needs? And number four, given your research or your findings, what are the implications for other educators in the field? And please be specific. And then the last part is your implications for inquiry and future research. So you need to identify the implications of future research. You need to think about what you read in your 12 journal articles and discuss any gaps that you found in the articles. Remember, those gaps are opportunities for future research. So as you point those out, then that may spur you to actually conduct research in the future. And that's what we hope that this will stimulate you to do. All right, how did your literature review help you to identify any areas for future research? And please be specific. So those items are going to go into that paper. And let's take a look and see what that paper might look like. So let me pull up and hopefully this shows up here. Okay, so you're going to write your title, of course. You're going to put your name here, student, all of this, same thing for each of the papers. Okay, then your abstract, you're going to do the abstract the same way as you've done before, except that the abstract is going to relate to this paper. And then in the body of the paper, you're going to say that it's chapter 4 and its reflections and implications for practice and inquiry. Now, please note that this is the only assignment that you're going to do in this course where you're going to use first person, because you're going to talk about your own personal feelings. So don't use third person on this. It will sound very awkward if you do. All right, so the discussion using hypothetical data. So in this first section, please reflect on how you think your study might have turned out, etc. We've already gone over those questions, okay? But they're being repeated here so that you don't forget what you're trying to do, okay? So you have those sections there that you need to cover, all right? And then, of course, your references follow the APA style, either 6th edition or 7th edition. Each will be fine. Okay, and then of course you need to follow the rubric. And one thing that I forgot to mention in the other papers is that as I correct your papers and I leave notes about certain issues on your paper, you need to correct those issues in those papers. Okay, and we're going to get more into that in the next discussion. So please keep that in mind. So I'm going to stop the sharing right now. And that's basically what you're doing in weeks 7 and 8. There's still one more assignment that needs to be considered. So I'm going to do a video on that particular assignment as one video so that you don't have to keep looking at this video over and over if you're trying to figure out what you're supposed to do in your compilation paper. So I wish you well in this part of your venture. Enjoy the journey, and I'll see you again in just a few minutes.